Hannibal Lecter, the sophisticated and terrifying psychological villain. Hannibal Lecter is one of the most iconic and terrifying characters in psychological horror literature and cinema. Originally introduced in Thomas Harris's novels, such as Red Dragon, 1981, The Silence of the Lambs, 1988, Hannibal, 1999, and Hannibal Rising, 2006. He is a brilliant psychiatrist and simultaneously a sadistic cannibal whose intelligence, charm, and sophistication make him more frightening than ordinary killers. Hannibal is not just a physical predator. He is an exceptional psychological manipulator, capable of reading the minds of his victims, anticipating movements, and controlling situations with strategic skill, making him a deeply disturbing and fascinating horror antagonist. Born in Lithuania, Hannibal had a traumatic childhood marked by World War II. He witnessed the brutal death of his parents and was forced to confront violence and depravity from an early age. These traumas shaped his psyche and contributed to his distorted moral code, where violence and cannibalism are not only acceptable, but also a form of artistic and intellectual expression. Lecter's historical background adds depth to the character, showing that his evil is not purely innate, but also shaped by extreme experiences of suffering and loss. Physically, Hannibal is described as elegant, impeccably groomed, always wearing tailored clothing, and exhibiting refined behavior that contrasts with his brutality. His charm, education, and eloquence function as manipulation tools, allowing him to gain the trust of victims, police, and investigators before revealing his true nature. This contrast between civilized appearance and extreme violence heightens the psychological terror he evokes, creating insecurity. Anyone can be deceived. Even when subtle signs of danger are present, Hannibal's primary method of attack is not only physical, but deeply psychological. He uses his psychiatric expertise to manipulate, control, and terrorize victims mentally. Lecter can induce fear, guilt, and despair by exploiting emotional and psychological weaknesses. For example, in The Silence of the Lambs, he engages in dialogue with FBI agent Clarice Starling, challenging her intelligence and ethics while testing her emotionally, creating tension and suspense through meticulously planned conversations. His ability to manipulate people without immediate physical violence makes him one of the most frightening figures in the genre. Hannibal is also an extremely dangerous physical predator. He employs superhuman strength, surgical precision, and meticulous planning to capture, torture, and often consume his victims. Lecter's cannibalism is not merely an act of violence. It is an extension of his aesthetic and intellectual vision of the world. For him, consuming human flesh is a refined, almost artistic experience, blending brutality with sophistication. This combination of erudition and monstrosity creates a unique horror, mixing the familiar, a respected psychiatrist, with the unimaginable, a meticulous cannibalistic killer. In books and films, Lecter is often depicted wearing a restraint mask or straitjacket when contained, symbolizing both his uncontrollable power and the social necessity of containment. Yet even imprisoned, he remains a threat, using intelligence, persuasion, and manipulation to influence the outside world. This reinforces the idea that his danger lies not only in physical force, but in his extraordinarily cunning and Machiavellian mind. The relationship between Hannibal and Clarice Starling is central to The Silence of the Lambs. Lecter sees Clarice not merely as an FBI agent, but as an interesting mind worthy of challenge. He tests her courage, intelligence, and ethics, establishing a psychological game in which both learn from and manipulate each other. This dynamic creates constant tension and amplifies psychological terror, demonstrating that Hannibal's mind is as lethal as his physical killing ability. Hannibal Lecter's cultural impact is immense. His combination of charm, intelligence, and extreme violence made him an icon of psychological horror, often cited as the ultimate sophisticated villain. Unlike brute force killers or supernatural entities, Hannibal represents human danger in its most refined and calculated form. His presence transcends physical terror, incorporating suspense, drama, and psychological analysis, making him relevant both in cinema and in the study of human behavior. Visually, Hannibal's portrayal in films, especially by Anthony Hopkins, maximizes the psychological effect. Intense stares, subtle gestures, and absolute control over voice and speech rhythm turn every scene into a masterclass in suspense. Even in silence, Hannibal generates extreme tension, proving that fear can be as powerful as any physical attack. Every detail of his performance contributes to the construction of a multifaceted, terrifying, and unforgettable villain. In summary, Hannibal Lecter is more than a cannibalistic killer. He embodies sophisticated psychological terror. His intelligence, charm, manipulative skills, and meticulous violence make him a complete antagonist, capable of terrorizing through the mind as much as the body. By combining personal trauma, advanced psychological knowledge, and cannibalism as macabre art, Hannibal has solidified himself as one of the most memorable villains in cinema and literature, setting a standard for horror that blends sophistication, sadism, and psychological tension.